If I were to take a good guess, you probably couldn't reach your foot in your mouth, nor with the ease that this little fella can. What's this baby have to do with strength and speed when you probably can't even walk yet? A lot. I'm Adam Friedman, sports performance and nutrition specialist, and in this episode, I'm going to show you how to avoid a big mistake that many of my clients made before they came to see me. Now, whether you like babies or not, the inherent developmental intelligence that they all possess is incredible and a great example of functional progression for the human body. In particular, as a caveat to building strength and speed, ignoring the proper functional progressions is a recipe for lackluster results and potential injury. So, if you've hit a plateau or hit some injury road bumps in your strength and speed training, then you may have been a bit overzealous and did not pay enough attention to maintaining your foundation. Okay, quickly back to the baby analogy for a clearer picture of what proper progressions look like. As you can see in this infographic, there are natural stages of human functional development that enable advancement as an infant and toddler. Regardless of your age, lifestyle, and performance goals, those factors don't ever excuse you from continuing to abide by the inherent developmental progression that have already been proven to be essential throughout the existence of mankind. So trying to build strength and speed without following progressions is like running high-demand software on top of weak hardware and eventually will crash the system. Just as a computer programmer develops code to allow the computer to perform its many functions, the body builds a coded pattern of muscular recruitment from the nervous system to establish the strength and conditioning to handle everything from our basic fundamental movements all the way to the most complex of motor skills. Some fundamental movements may seem basic in your mind, but you'd be surprised at how those seemingly basics become unfamiliar and difficult to do if you don't continue to revisit them often and correctly. Just look at our elderly population as an example of what happens when you don't reinforce fundamental movements. Taking for granted these fundamentals and skipping over them in the quest to become stronger and faster is what causes weak links in the kinetic chain. The result is stunted strength and speed along with limitations in maintaining effective and efficient movement that may lead to injury. When I have new clients balance on one foot as a part of the advanced athletics assessment, there are often a lot of noticeable compensations that take place because these seemingly simple exercises were brushed over. That's why you always get to revisit your fundamentals, and that's what any coach will tell you when developing sport-specific skills as a player, because it's the fundamentals that are the foundation to success. And as a coach, I can show you that strength and speed are skills in the same respect. It's those same fundamental movement skills that make up your foundation, which allows you to effectively and efficiently perform at a high level. It's your body's conditioning that dictates how well those fundamental movement patterns can be repeated over time, under stress, and with mental fatigue. But to begin with, your body's hardware needs to be structurally balanced in order to have a good durability. This means that you have to have good physical posture and the correct musculoskeletal balance. Ideally, for your body to be able to reach its maximal potential strength, power, and speed, it needs to have the optimal muscle to tendon length tension ratio. This is what allows for your bones to be in the proper alignment and allows the joints to have a full range of motion, and also allows the collective muscle groups, tendons, and fascial system to work effectively together. Based on the way the body is designed, your nervous system needs to have the correct recruitment pattern to function optimally in order to move in the way that we desire and for as long as we desire. Therefore, altogether, the stronger your foundation, then the greater harmony exists between the necessary mobility and stability to take on more complex demands of building strength and speed. What could a poor foundation for your body mean? Well, if there's a weak link or two or three that are compromising the integrity of how efficient and effective the movement outcomes will be, then those compensations will ultimately lead to greater and greater limitations in performance. The most common motion restrictions that I've seen in the many athletes that I've worked with occur in the ankle and hip. The resulting compensation patterns typically impacts the areas around the knee, hamstring, low back, and even up to your shoulders. Those areas end up picking up the needed slack in movement and therefore creates added stress. Since those areas are pulling double duty, they fail to be 100% for what they're intended to be utilized in the first place. Eventually, we all know what happens: breakdown and only a fraction of the performance results. Look, we all have imbalances. That's why I always start new clients with foundational training in phase 1 and periodically revisit it with long-term clients within the subsequent phases. The emphasis is on correcting musculoskeletal imbalances and joint restrictions and compensations, and then reinforcing them. This is accomplished by assessing and then reassessing the body's standing skeletal position, head-to-toe range of motion, core activation, balance and endurance, functional movement, and conditioning. Then, any imbalances and restrictions that I discover are then addressed in a corrective action plan that includes myofascial release, corrective stretching, corrective strengthening, corrective movement pattern, re-education, and reinforcement. Another thing to know about foundational training is that it also includes prehab exercises, which specifically target and maintain the mobility and stability around the joints. This generally means the strengthening of the smaller but crucial support muscles throughout the full range of motion, because they are prone to breakdown and injury because they have to bear the brunt of the punishment and countering the significant external forces from lifting weights or delivering a body blow to your opponent, and the repetitive internal forces from movement and stress of performing your activity. Some examples of prehab exercises would be shoulder external rotation, hip abduction such as side-lying clamshells, and ankle dorsiflexion such as toe-raised heel walking. And last but not least, foundational core exercises should be selected to encourage proper recruitment patterns. This is in an effort to get the core to do the job it was designed to do, which is to stabilize the hips and spine in order to further protect the spinal cord from anything and everything. Some examples of exercises that encourage that are variations of planks, chops and lifts, and Turkish get-ups. On the other hand, exercises that may reinforce dysfunction may be because of heavy involvement of the hip flexors and increase in spinal flexion, such as sit-ups, crunches, and leg raises. As you've learned, foundation training has a lot of essential components that do require a certain amount of planning and time investment. So in building strength and speed, you can either embrace your foundation wholly for a higher performance potential and to be more durable, or you can from time to time show some love for your foundation after a preventable injury. Because really what you would have been doing was building strength on top of dysfunction and only reinforcing those imbalances and compensation patterns. Believe me, I know that spending time on the foundation can seem boring, unfulfilling, and a waste of time, but at least you can have the peace of mind that you dotted your I's and crossed your T's so that you can have more consistent personal records. But on the other hand, those same feelings are easily available during injury when you can only dream about getting back to being active again. I speak from experience, which is why I'm so passionate about educating and encouraging you to build and maintain your foundation for the sake of durability and peak performance. So remember to always revisit your fundamentals, and oh yeah, break lots of personal records too. Thanks for watching, and for the latest tips and updates, subscribe to the advancedathletics.com blog and follow us on Facebook. Until next time, here's to improving your inner athlete.